2276. WestJet's Flight 2276 suffered a right main landing gear failure upon landing on runway 10 at St. Martin's Princess Juliana International Airport, runway 10, on Sunday, the 7th of September. Let's check it out. This video is brought to you by the folks that sponsor this channel here on Patreon. Taking a preliminary look at the ADS-B data, looks like a good stabilized approach over the famous Maho Beach. Touchdown a little long, but in the zone. And immediately on touchdown, something failed on the right main gear. Spoilers come up right away, and the crew does an excellent job keeping the aircraft on center line. Bringing it to a full stop with plenty of runway to spare. A view from inside the cockpit, posted here on X. Again, showing the stabilized approach, normal approach speeds. A little bit of right crosswind. And right away, something fails at the moment of touchdown. Investigators will be able to download the data and find out exactly how hard this aircraft touched down in both feet per minute and G loading. They're dealing with a little bit of a right crosswind, but not much. But you'll see one last aileron input that really set that right main down firmly. Right about there. There's the input. And there's the touchdown. And here's the damage to the gear, also posted on X. We can see the gear structure poking up through the top of the wing here a bit. Very similar to the Trunnion failure that we saw on the Alaska Airlines flight 2 years ago here in California. Let's take a quick look at the winds and the weather. Winds 110 at 12 knots and 120 at 13 knots with a runway heading of 100 degrees, just a slight right crosswind. The runway at St. Martin does present a bit of a challenge at just over 7,000 feet long with water on both sides of the runway. This touchdown occurred right about here in the first third of the runway, a little over 1,000 feet down the runway, and the aircraft got stopped well before the end of the runway. Looking down here at the street view, here's the approach end over Maho Beach. And the other challenge is a go-around here at St. Martin requires an immediate turn to the right to avoid higher terrain. Here's a preliminary look at that ADS-B data on Flight Radar 24. Doing the left base to final here, 177 knots slowing down. All that vertical speed is under 1,000 feet per minute. Slowing down to approach speed, 152 on the ground speed. Stabilized approach, well under 1,000 feet per minute and on speed, on glide path. Here's the landing from another view showing the stabilized approach, but you can hear something definitely cracking or failing at the moment of touchdown. Don't mind the crackly audio on this one. Hear that? Here's an additional view from up higher. Here's the aircraft. Touchdown is going to be right about in this location here. There's the touchdown and the failure of the right main gear. And the crew does an excellent job keeping the aircraft on centerline and getting it stopped well short of the end of the runway. Here's an interesting view of landing from the cockpit view at St. Maarten, and you can see the high terrain off the end of the runway in the event of a go-around. Here we can see the slides deployed on the left side of the aircraft. And remember, the 737 does not have overwing slides. It does have overwing exits, but it does not look like the overwing exits were used in this case. It looks like they also got the right rear exit deployed, but the one right exit was not deployed. Again, it does not look as though the wing exits were deployed. When you transition from a normal day at the office to a sudden emergency and emergency evacuation like this in a matter of seconds, things can turn rather chaotic for everybody involved. And one of the challenges for aircrew is the fact that you're sitting so far up in the nose of the aircraft, you have very little information as to what is going on behind you. There are no cameras in the 737 that allow you to see what's going on behind you. You are relying upon information from the crew in the back of the aircraft to let you know what's going on, and or the fire department crews that are responding to the accident. So let's take a look at the preliminary ATC data from You Can See ATC YouTube channel.
Roger, 2276, runway 10 first to land, wind 110, 13 knots.
Winds 110 at 13 knots, so the winds are not bad at all.
First to land, 10, WestJet 276.
WestJet 2276, launch track ready 10, vacates via Echo. Talking Alpha Tree.
Okay, you hear that? One person talking over the other. By the way, this video has been edited and truncated, so this is not exactly in real time, but it sounds to me like the tower has no idea that the gear collapsed on the 737. Note that there's no taxiways here at St. Maarten. You got to turn around and back taxi. So she's given him his back taxi instructions, unawares as to what's going on.
We're stopping on the runway, WestJet 2276.
WestJet 2276, state center.
We sent prime WestJet 2276.
Say again?
Sent crash fire rescue, WestJet 2276.
Roger.
She seems quite surprised that that's the case. That caught her off guard, the control tower. So now she's got to send Delta out to hold, get him out of the way while they deal with the emergency on the runway, effectively closing the runway.
WestJet 2276, state souls and fuel on board.
Hi, West 401, WestJet 2276, 163 passengers, 11.7 thousand pounds of fuel.
163, 11.7 thousand pounds of fuel confirmed.
11,600 pounds of fuel, WestJet 2276.
11,600 pounds of fuel copy. Search and rescue is on the way to you.
WestJet 2276.
Search and rescue, that's a little unconventional.
Confirm any dangerous goods on board WestJet 2276.
No dangerous goods, WestJet 2276.
No dangerous good. That's good. He puts the actual time.
WestJet 2276, confirm your engines are off.
Stand by, WestJet 2276.
Okay, normally you would have the engines off by now. You're not going anywhere.
WestJet 2276, the fire department is on the runway, requesting an update.
Yeah, copy, stand by. We'll be having the engine shut down here in a minute, WestJet 2276.
Roger, advise.
So it sounds like they're still working on shutting down the engines.
And they're shut down now for WestJet 2276.
WestJet 2276, can you confirm if your engines are shut down?
Engines are shut down, WestJet 2276.
Is it?
And that's for the fire crew. They don't want to get too near to the aircraft if the engines are still running.
Okay for fire department to proceed to the aircraft now?
Yes, they can proceed, WestJet 2276.
Roger. WestJet 2276, Liana.
Go ahead to WestJet 2276.
Fire department is asking if you're going to deploy the chute for the emergency slide.
Stand by, WestJet 2276.
Roger.
So it sounds like they're still trying to make the decision, do we need to evacuate the aircraft or not? And it sounds also to me as if the crew is not able to communicate directly with the ARF crews, or the rescue and firefighting crews. Instead, they have to play this telephone tag through the tower.
Any update from them for WestJet 2276?
Standby.
So I'm wondering who's making the decision on whether to emergency evacuate or not.
WestJet 2276, from information from fire department, the aircraft needs to be evacuated.
Okay, we copy WestJet 2276.
So that sounds to me like an uncommanded evacuation. Again, the folks in back have a better idea what's going on with the aircraft, and I believe the crew in the back perhaps initiated an uncommanded evacuation. That means the crew did not command the evacuation, but the folks in back did, and that can be problematic because of things like getting the engines shut down before slides are deployed.
And Mayday, WestJet 2276 will be evacuated another one.
WestJet 2276, Roger, fire department will be advised.
WestJet 2276.
And now they're declaring a mayday and evacuating. Now, that may be just the crew is saying that we're out of here at this point. After an uncommanded evacuation, this is where things can get so chaotic and so balled up so very quickly in these sort of sudden emergencies.
WestJet 2276, fire department advised, please do not evacuate the aircraft on the starboard side.
Okay, not on the starboard side. Roger, WestJet 2276.
Okay, don't evacuate on the right side, but if it's an uncommanded evacuation, those slides are already deployed. We saw the right rear slide deployed, but we did see that the one right slide was not deployed. There were no injuries, thank goodness, despite all the chaos that comes with an emergency evacuation. In this case, there were no injuries. Whew. 2 years ago, Alaska Airlines left main landing gear failed while landing at Santa Ana, another short runway, and the final report on that found that the Trunnion pin failed. See that failure mode right there? Does that look familiar? Here's where the main gear attaches to the spar via this Trunnion pin. There's the Trunnion pin into the landing gear beam. And on the Alaska flight, here's where the Trunnion pin failed, causing the landing gear to fail. A metallurgical failure of the Trunnion pin, causing the gear to collapse. There's a well-known airworthiness directive on the 737 fleet of aircraft regarding these Trunnion pins that require repetitive lubrication and inspection of these Trunnion pins for corrosion and chrome damage. And this AD can be eliminated if you replace the Trunnion pin or overhaul the Trunnion pin. In the case of the Alaska Airlines 737, they spotted the corrosion problem with the Trunnion pin and sent the Trunnion pin off to be overhauled. During this overhaul process, the pins are ground down dimensionally and then built back up with chrome plating to its required specification, its size tolerance. But they found that during this investigation, in the process of grinding the pin down in preparation for the chrome plating, they altered the heat treating of the pin, which began a fatigue crack in the pin, which ultimately ended up failing. And of note, the NTSB has found up until now 4 similar main landing gear Trunnion pin failures in the 737 fleet, including these 4 examples here, now the Alaska Airlines example, and now possibly this WestJet. Was this another Trunnion pin failure? We'll find out in the preliminary report and in the final report from the NTSB. Thank you so much for your support of this channel, especially the folks over on Patreon that make this content possible. See you here.